Hi, Guava Bees, and welcome to another episode of the Dear Guava Bean podcast. Remember, submit your questions in the sandbox or on the website, and we could be answering yours in the next episode. I'm Francesca, and with me is Claire.
Hello.
And today's question is, Dear Guava Bean, do you have any tips for how to package your services? I have no idea where to start. I'm a content writer and copywriter who wants to incorporate social media strategy and make a package deal. Should I offer a content calendar and all the content created by me for a set price or something like that? This is interesting because I have been a content writer and a copywriter very briefly, and I've never offered packages as a writer. I think maybe you have a little bit more experience with packages than me, Claire. Can you tell me what your first thoughts are on packages for someone who is actually doing something like copywriting and maybe a social media strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think packages are actually a really great way to sell your services. When I was, first starting out, I didn't know anything about packages. And so I've actually never done packages for myself. But when I worked for a marketing agency, they used packages for everything. And it was a really good way to combine all the details of what goes into a service, because sometimes a service is so much bigger than what it says, like content writer, what goes into that. And so a package is a way to kind of break down for the client exactly what's included, all the little details, something, if there's anything excluded, or if you have special services, you can charge more for those instead of having different rates. So I love packages, and I think it can be a great idea if you know your clients, if you know what type of packages to create, then it makes sense. If you don't know what type of packages to create yet, maybe it's worth getting a little more experience and talking to your clients to see what kind of packages they need first. What do you think?
Right. I agree, because I think when I briefly dabbled in packages, this was back when I was quite new to freelancing, and it was when I was a virtual assistant, so it's, a bit different. But I felt like I was trying to shoehorn services into packages without really knowing that the clients needed them. So from my perspective, I would ask okay, so why do you want to create packages? Is it because you want to, or is it someone else said that that's the way you should do it? I feel like the need for packages should probably come from the client. Like you said, if maybe you're noticing a pattern with certain types of client where they always seem to need a specific kind of service, or, you feel like the services you offer most frequently could easily be packaged together and people would find a benefit in that, rather than, like you said, making it really confusing and having different rates and stuff, which can be really mind-boggling to get on top of, then yeah, it probably is a no-brainer to have a package. Like I said, if you struggled like I did, because I struggled, maybe it could be that you're just trying to do this extra work to make packages just because you feel like you should, or because you think they might be a good way forward without actually having tested it first on clients.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. You're thinking are you creating a package because you need a package and because the client has told you that they need a package, or are you just doing it because you think you need it? And that's a very important distinction to make, because you don't want to add on work or complicate things that could be simple. What you basically want to do is just make it as easy as possible for the client to hire your services. And so if a package makes it easier to explain, makes it easier for the clients to understand, then absolutely make a package. But if you're making it just to combine two services together, I'm a copywriter and I want to incorporate social media, so let me create a package. I think that's definitely a good idea that's worth testing. You can pitch it to certain clients and see if they go for that idea, but they might not even need that. Maybe they just need the social media strategy, or maybe they just need a social media manager and they want everything included. And so they would do well with some kind of package deal. I think once you have a little experience, you start to get a feel for what clients need and what they want. And then you start to figure out, okay, what kind of packages can I create?
I agree, especially as someone who's done writing before. I think packages have a potential to work really well. But you're right. I think you have to have known what your clients actually expect and what they want, what they would find easier. I do think that packages could work well for clients because it does take the sort of unpredictability out of getting an invoice at the end of each month with like a price that might fluctuate. If a package includes a certain amount and they can just pay you, then I can definitely see the value in that. I also think, like you mentioned right at the beginning, with writing, copywriting, content writing, whatever kind of writing you do, it's not always just the writing that you're actually offering the client. So it can often be research on a subject. It can include interviews. It can include images, research on keywords. There's so many different kinds of things that clients may not realize that they're getting as part of a package. So to add those in as part of a package as a writer, I think would offer a tremendous amount of value, because we all know that when you're a writer and you're a freelancer and you're working with clients, they're paying for the end result and basically like the return on investment they get from that writing work. They're not paying you for the hours you spend, because that's a whole other subject, but basically you end up sort of underpricing yourself the better you get and the quicker you get. So having a package and showing the value that you can give to people, I can definitely see working for a copywriter or a content writer. It's interesting to me to think about how to incorporate the social media strategy as well, because I guess I look at a strategy for social media not necessarily being like a certain number of posts, but rather being like an ongoing kind of arrangement with a client depending on what their needs are and what their end goals are. What are your opinions on this, Claire? Because as I say, like I haven't really worked a lot in social media, so this is kind of new territory for me.
Well, I have some friends who freelance and do social media, and they have packages, but the way they create it is not like they have, like 3 packages, for example, with different prices. Instead, they have in their mind like what they do already, and then they talk to the client, they see what the client wants, and then they create a custom package for that client. Or like, it's not really a package, it's more like just a quote. It's like, here's the price and here's everything that's included in that price. And like you say, it takes the unpredictability out. It's a flat rate. Most of the social media freelancers that I know, they charge a flat rate per month. And sometimes that's based on the amount of posts that go out every week or every month. And sometimes it's based on, the amount of social media platforms that the client has, if they're doing just Facebook or Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest and all that stuff. So I think that the best way to do it, honestly, is to have in your mind like what you do. And then when you talk to that client, everything that the client wants that you can do, you're going to include that in your package. If the client says, I want a blogger, even if you're not a blogger, but you want that position, or you're a copywriter and you want to try your hand at blogging, you can put that into your package. If the client says, I also need someone to design my images, or if I also need someone to write the captions for my social media posts, anything that the client needs, if it's something in your scope of work that you know that you can do and you want to include it, you can include that into your package. And that makes it flexible for the client. It makes it flexible for you because you can decide what to offer and what not to offer. You're not tied to a specific package and you always have to offer the same thing. You can decide, okay, maybe I actually don't like writing captions on social media, so maybe I'm not going to offer that anymore. And that's a decision that you can make instantly if you're just creating custom packages for each client. In my experience, I've found that clients usually want, it's funny because they both want a package and they want a custom deal. I've never met a client that didn't want to customize a package because they all want different things. And so unless you're offering them a package that is like the entire universe, unlimited, they're going to want certain things, or they're going to want to be like, oh, can you take this out and make your package cheaper? Maybe I don't need the content writing. So can you just give me social media strategy and make your package cheaper? And then you end up having to create a new package anyways if you want to accommodate that client. So ultimately, I would say that what I recommend doing is having the packages in mind that you want to sell, and then trying to customize your packages to fit what the client needs, being flexible to their needs and then also to what you want to offer. Doing it this way, clients usually appreciate it because they get exactly what they want, and they get it at a price where they feel they're getting exactly what they paid for. If you have a specific package and there's one or two things in that package that they don't need, then they're going to feel like, oh, I'm not getting the best deal that I possibly could because I'm paying for some services that I don't really need or that I'm not really using. And because of that, they might try to negotiate or haggle with you on those packages, and it could end up being more of a problem than a blessing. So all that to say, I think packages are great when you have, the only time I would recommend to make specific packages and not budge on those is when you know exactly what you want to include and you're not willing to compromise or make adjustments for different clients. If you're at that stage where, you have a package, take it or leave it, then it's a great idea to make those packages and offer that, because it makes it very simple for you and very simple for the client. They only have a few options. But if you're still figuring out your services and you don't know exactly what you want to offer yet and you want to incorporate a few different things, then maybe just keep it flexible for now and make a custom package for each client that suits their needs in particular.
Yeah, like that makes sense to me. I think like when you talk about, not having much wiggle room because you have so much knowledge and so much expertise in that area, that kind of also means that, the packages that you're creating, they're not just sort of based on how long it takes to do something, like in that traditional kind of hourly freelancer mentality, but it's also like paying for the knowledge that this is how you get to that end result, I guess. And I think that's another important thing, isn't it? Is when you're creating packages, it's like having that client's end goal in mind, not just like these are the features that are included because I said so. Basically just reiterating what you've said, it's always really important to just have that client's end goal in mind. And I don't really know how else to say it, but yeah, when you've got more experience working with these clients and specific types of clients, then that's going to give you an indication of what packages they need, and it will help make their lives easier. I don't think there's anything wrong with custom packages. I think it really does depend on what kind of work you do, and obviously as a writer, I think sometimes that can fluctuate quite a bit, because certainly from my experience as a writer, when you go client to client, some will have research done, but they don't know what keywords they need, or they have their end goal in mind, but they literally have no idea how to create content. Or, there's like lots of different combinations of wants and needs from different clients. So again, like custom packages work really well in this regard. I think when you start getting more specific packages, like the ones you mentioned about the marketing agency you worked with, they don't have much wiggle room. It's probably when you've really niched down as well, and you're working not only with clients in a specific industry, but they have like a specific need. Like for example, they want a landing page for a new course or something like that, just as an example, and then you only work with people who want landing pages, and then exactly what to do, and you can make a package that will fit their needs and will help them achieve their goal. Obviously it depends, but I think it does, it'll help when you actually really niche down and you're so specific on the types of clients you want to work for. Because I think that's, again, like in my experience, when I've had packages, the reason they didn't work is because I wasn't niche down enough. So who's going to buy a package that's made for everybody? Well, no one, because it's not going to be what they need. So I think that's a really important aspect of packages, is knowing who your ideal client is.
Yeah, that's a huge part, because ideally the package should be made for that person. It shouldn't be made for the service. It should be made for the person who needs the service. And so, like you said, it should always be made with the client's goal in mind. And if you're not 100% sure what the client's goal is, you won't be able to create the right package for them. And so you kind of have to get a little more experience on what the client really needs, and then how can you create a package that gets them what they need in the fastest time possible, or in the easiest way possible.
Right, exactly. And it's important to mention as well that obviously I know it's sort of, we're talking about, what the client needs and stuff like this. And when you don't know what they need, that can seem like a really hard question to answer. But it's not up to you to try and like figure out through just guesswork what a client needs. They will tell you. The more clients you work with, and the more your portfolio grows, the more kinds of work that you take on, they will tell you what they need. You'll actually have that hands-on experience, which will help you determine how to make these packages. It doesn't have to be harder than it needs to be, really. I think that if you're doing a lot of guesswork, then it's not time to make a package. I learned that kind of the hard way, really, and I wasn't ready to make packages because I didn't really understand what clients wanted, and I've got no shame in saying that, because that's just part of the growth process, I think, as a freelancer. So yeah, I think that it's important to remember that if you're finding it a struggle and you don't know what to include, then you need to work with more clients first before you know what to do.
Very good point. The second part of this question is, should I offer a content calendar and all the content created by me for a set price or something like that? So that's interesting. That's kind of a different question completely. It's asking, should you create almost like a product, a little paid product that you can sell on the side? And I think like a little content calendar is a great idea. Having a little product that you can sell on the side is just another way to bring in revenue. I know a few people that do this, like Instagram content calendars for the whole year. Like that is very popular. I know people that offer that at a paid price, and they release a new month every month. A new month of content calendar comes out. So having something like that is a great way to kind of build up some passive income, to get something else going on the side. It could also be a great way to show clients more about your services. Maybe clients that work with you, you can include the content calendar in your packages for free. So having just more assets like that, like all these other little assets that you create, will just add value to your clients and to your business as a freelancer. What do you think? Have you done content calendars?
I have, yeah. I love content calendars. I don't just use them for writing, but I also use them for other content like YouTube, for example. And I love the idea of using a content calendar as like a gateway into the packages. I think it's a really nice way that's sort of non-committal, that somebody can get a taste of what you're offering, and it shows you, it shows them what you're made of, it shows your expertise, but without them having to like leap straight into a package. I like the idea of something like a content calendar as being almost like a lead magnet, maybe, or like you say, like a little test sort of product that's like an introduction product that then introduces people into, the other services that you offer, and introducing them into the packages that you do. I do think it's important to think about every step of the way. It could be a great idea for maybe people who haven't heard of you before, and it could be a great way to sort of help them when they're quite new to your brand, or new to what you offer and new to you. It helps warm people up. I think it's part of an overall kind of marketing strategy as a freelancer. I think I love it. I think content calendars are something that save people a lot of time and also a lot of research and trying to figure out like what's going to work, what isn't. And it just, I think they're really effective.
Yeah, and that concept of a lead magnet as a way to get people in, like that is something that we teach in the phishing method as like part of that marketing strategy, having that kind of freebie or something that you can give people for free that gives them a taste of your work, and then you can upsell them into actually hiring you to execute that content calendar.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think if you can, like my idea of like the perfect lead magnet is something where it's just going to show me how to do something, but you know, it's going to show me how to save time, maybe teach me something a little new. But then obviously if I needed more in-depth help to achieve my goals, then I would hope that I would go to that person that's given me this amazing lead magnet. I think that's like the perfect lead magnet, and anything that's going to show someone how to save time and how to do something they don't already know how to do is just going to be awesome. And I think content calendars are like the perfect example of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Offering like a 3-month or even just a 1-month free content calendar is a fantastic lead magnet. And if you want to know more about that whole lead magnet and that marketing process, in the Sandbox, we have that phishing method training that talks all about how to create your lead magnet, how to get it in front of new prospects, how to get leads, how to convert them. So if you have something like that, that can help you, get in those prospects, and then you can upsell them into your package deal. You can offer it as a freebie to upsell clients, or you could try to also just create a little price on it and put that on your website and sell it directly from whatever your social media platform is, like Instagram or Facebook. You can also sell it directly.
There's like so many ways you could go with that as well. Like, a freebie could be 1 month of a content calendar, and then maybe for a little price, someone can get 6 months, or maybe you can give it for a freebie for LinkedIn, and then you could pay and you could do all of the social media platforms. It's like you could just customize it so many different ways depending on like what your expertise is and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I love that idea, and I really think that as well, like this is I think this is like a whole new subject, but I won't say too much on it. But it's like, I think part of having a lead magnet is obviously making it, but then trying to figure out who to give it to. And like, obviously you mentioned the phishing method, which is like super, super helpful. And I think that not only teaches you how to deliver a lead magnet, but also with these prospects, these potential clients, they can also give you a lot of useful feedback, which would actually feed back into maybe what you could include in packages. Because if they tell you what their pain points are, what they're struggling to actually find from other freelancers, that helps you kind of fill a gap, doesn't it? And it can help you actually build up your services that way too. We hope this episode has given you some food for thought and helpful advice on what to do next if you're struggling with the same issue. Now it's your turn. We want to hear from you. If you have a question and want us to discuss it on a future episode, ask us in the Sandbox, on the website, or using the form in our podcast email. It only takes a minute, and if we choose yours, we'll send you a free guava bean mug as a thank you, so you can enjoy your favourite drink while listening to the show. For now, that's all from us. Until next time, keep working online and living free.
Want to know more about the Freelancer Sandbox? Visit guavabean.com/sandbox to start your free trial now.